Good morning, Soul Embodiment Tribe. Bridget Patton here with Soul Massages. So I am just sitting here working this morning at my desk, and I was reading some comments and responses that some people were saying on other sites. And I just realized that a lot of the things that we reprogram ourselves to believe and shift out of, we don't even think about anymore. So the things that come up and I see happening on a regular basis in other areas, I try to bring up in here because I realize that sometimes it's happening and we don't even know that it's happening. And what came up was something really curious that I found very interesting. And it was an assumption that I was associating myself with different labels. And anybody that watches my videos, anybody that's in this group, anybody that is self-aware can feel that I don't have an attachment to any of these things, any of these outcomes, and I'm just here to illuminate different perspectives and help you guys each find what is going on within you. I'm not a healer. I don't heal anybody. You guys are already healed. We're all healed. It's just about our awareness and our consciousness of our connection to source that embodies it in the physical world. So I just want to make that clear first. I'm not a healer. I don't want to say nobody is a healer because people do have healing gifts. We all have the ability to do it. But what healers do is we use our channeled abilities from source and we hold space for source to embody the other person. The other person has to be open to that, though, to receive it. If the other person's not open, we resist and we block and we create a whole bunch of other issues in our reality. So when it comes to judging, I think it's really interesting that there's a little bit of spiritual snobbery that goes on when people have their awareness and their awakening, and it has to do with religion. And I think it's really interesting because, yes, there are a lot of wounds there for people, but if we're really gonna embody our soul, we have to have the understanding that just because somebody identifies themselves with Buddhism or Christianity or any other religion, it doesn't matter what the religion is. I'm not going to list all of them out right now, but when we feel a trigger inside of us, acknowledge that when you're hearing those things, it's a wound. We call it a wound inside of us. It's an unawareness inside of us, a belief system that is separating us from the source that's within us. Because if we're getting triggered and we're getting activated, the basis and the foundation of it is that that's our ego trying to protect us from that pain. And when the ego's trying to protect us from that pain, it's also separating us from the source that heals the pain, the source that allows us to have it move through our body so that we can become whole, working in unison inside of us with the ego part of us and with the spirit side of us. And I'm not saying this side is that side and this side is that side. I'm just using my hands. So recognize that when you feel those sensations in your body, it means that you've already got the tools somewhere inside of you that will create that pathway. It'll create that pathway so that you can move up into that next level of knowing. But what happens is, instead, when we have that awareness and when something is illuminated, a lot of the time we resist it because our mind is trying to protect us from reliving that experience again. And I'm here to tell you that we can't recreate a reality from our past. We can't recreate what we've already lived. That's impossible. The dynamics don't line up. There's always going to be some sort of shift energetically that makes it so that the same thing doesn't happen again. Certain circumstances will come up where there's overlapping energies that create a similar experience, but it's our awareness that allows us to create something different. It's not happening so that we can live in that turmoil and in that pain over and over again. It's there so we can expand. It's there so we can change it. It's there so we can do something different this time. It isn't there, and we don't have that awareness so that we can put the brakes on and start judging the situation or the circumstance or the person. Because when we do that, we're projecting. We're projecting that pain onto the situation. We're projecting that pain onto the person. We're doing all of that projecting with that energy instead of using it to move it inside of our body and break down belief systems. We're just here to keep breaking down the next level of belief systems so our awareness can continue to expand and we can continue to learn new ways to create this beautiful reality that we live in. And if you're feeling something other than joy and peace and even relaxation, just being in the moment and just relaxing, you don't always have to be going 100 miles per hour. But if you're judging what Spirit's asking you to do, and sometimes it's asking you to break down a belief system, if you're resisting that, that's when things start showing up in our external reality that aren't as pleasurable, that aren't as comforting, that are unknown to us. But when we tap into the patterns and to our emotions and we know what's going on inside of our body, that's when things can start to shift. And I'm inviting everybody to really consider those wounds that are going on inside of you and how is your response happening? And is there blame coming up? It's this person's fault. It's that situation's fault. It's somebody's fault. If you're in that mode, if you're thinking and you're blaming and you're resenting, that is evidence that something inside a belief system needs to shift. That's evidence that you're not allowing the source that's within you to overflow into all areas of your life. There's some sort of resistance happening, a belief system that somebody else gave you, because when we're born into this world, we're whole and we are totally connected to source. And it's the belief systems that get projected onto us from other people that we carry around with us as us. It's not us. We are a connection of source. We're an extension of source. We have source within us. We are source in human form. But when we attach to the situations and the people in our reality, what ends up happening is we carry that around with us as us. That's the heaviness. That's the jealousy. That's the judging. All of those things, it's a part of ourselves that we're judging, you guys. It's a part of ourselves that we aren't accepting. And it doesn't mean it's that exact thing. It means there's a belief system within us that needs to change. There's a belief system within us that is separating us from our knowing of source energy. So hopefully this really can help some of you guys shift your perspective around these things, especially with that religion wound that's going on a lot right now. I know I talked about this in my other video, the martyr syndrome. We're shedding this right now in this time period, this martyr syndrome. So if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely hop on there and look at that one. Otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day. And you guys know I love you. See you in the next video.